Paris Michael Catherine Jackson. The name itself carries both the weight of history and the vulnerability of a girl born into the brightest, yet loneliest spotlight on Earth. Born on April 3, 1998, in Beverly Hills, California, she entered the world as the only daughter of the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, and his second wife, Debbie Rowe. But while most children are born into simple beginnings, Paris's story began under the shadow of global fame, controversy, and secrecy. She was named Paris not just because her father loved the French capital, but also because of a childhood promise Michael made with his sister LaToya and family friend Kathy Hilton. They swore that if any of them had a daughter, she would be named Paris. That promise became real with this baby girl, who would one day capture the world's heart and curiosity. Growing up in Neverland Ranch, Paris lived what seemed like a fairy tale from the outside. Imagine a childhood filled with petting zoos, amusement park rides, and a house so big that fantasy itself felt normal. Yet inside this bubble, Michael had a mission: to shield his children from the cruelty of fame. Masks covered their faces whenever they stepped out in public. To many it looked strange, but to Michael it was love, an attempt to give his kids the simple anonymity he had lost forever. Her godparents weren't ordinary either. Elizabeth Taylor, the Hollywood queen, and Macaulay Culkin, the child star of Home Alone, stood as guiding figures. But despite this glittering environment, the reality was different. Paris's life was shaped not by luxury alone, but by the emotional depth of her father's presence. He was her everything: mother, father, protector, and friend. Then came June 25, 2009, the day the world stopped. Michael Jackson died suddenly, and for Paris, just 11 years old, the center of her universe collapsed. Millions watched as she bravely stood at his memorial, tears streaming, and whispered words that broke hearts across the globe. "Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. I love him so much." That raw moment of grief showed the world that behind the legend was a little girl who had just lost her anchor. After Michael's death, Paris and her brothers Prince and BG were placed under the guardianship of their grandmother Catherine and cousin TJ. It was a turbulent adjustment, from Neverland's wonderland to the scrutiny of a world that never looked away. Interviews with Oprah and public appearances reminded everyone that the Jackson children were no longer hidden, and Paris, with her striking blue eyes and unmistakable charisma, began to draw public fascination. But behind the fame was a storm. By her mid-teens, Paris was already fighting demons few could imagine. She revealed she had been sexually assaulted by a stranger, spiraled into drug addiction, and attempted suicide multiple times. These were cries for help from a young woman burdened by grief, pressure, and a relentless spotlight. She was eventually sent to a therapeutic school in Utah, a place she once thought saved her, but later exposed as abusive. Years later, she would stand with Paris Hilton and other survivors, bravely sharing how the institution left her with PTSD, nightmares, and trust issues. Imagine carrying Michael Jackson's name and legacy, while also fighting for your own survival. Still, Paris rose. She transformed her pain into art, using modeling, acting, and music as outlets. In 2017, she appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone, instantly making her mark. That same year she signed with IMG Models, walking runways and gracing magazine covers with her ethereal look. She acted in films like Gringo and appeared in TV shows, slowly building her own career rather than living in her father's shadow. Music, however, became her truest voice. With musician Gabriel Glenn, she formed the duo The Soundflowers, blending soft harmonies, acoustic guitar, and ukulele. Their songs carried raw emotions, whispers of longing, and echoes of healing. Later, Paris signed with Republic Records and released her debut solo album, Wilted, in 2020. Songs like Let Down revealed not just talent but soul, music born out of scars, heartbreak, and hope. Her career expanded further. She appeared in American Horror Stories, modeled at Paris Fashion Week, and became a fixture in the fashion and entertainment worlds. Yet, she always carried activism in her heart. She joined the Black Lives Matter protests, supported the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation, and used her growing platform to fight for justice and compassion. But let's not pretend the road was smooth. Paris has been brutally honest about her mental health battles. She spoke about being haunted by paparazzi, the trauma of relentless scrutiny, and her struggle with identity. She revealed her fluid sexuality, refusing to label herself. She confessed she had dated women, men, and even partners outside the binary. "I just love people for people," she said, embracing love without boundaries. Paris has also stood firm in court battles concerning her father's estate, challenging what she called irregular payments and demanding transparency. She has never been afraid to take a stand, even if it means challenging the very structures profiting from her father's name. And in her personal life. In 2024, Paris got engaged to music producer Justin Long, but by July 2025 the engagement was called off. Heartbreak once again found its way into her journey, reminding us that even the daughter of a superstar is not immune to the pain of love lost. Through all of this, Paris Jackson remains a mosaic of contradictions, fragile yet strong, broken yet healing, famous yet seeking privacy. She is her father's daughter, but also very much her own woman. She has learned to turn tragedy into testimony, scars into songs, and tears into art. So here's the big question for you. Do you see Paris as a reflection of her father's legacy, or as a phoenix who has carved her own identity from ashes? Can she ever escape the shadow of the king of pop, or is she destined to forever walk with that crown hanging above her? Paris once said she still talks to her father, that she feels his spirit guiding her through music, dreams, and memories. Whether or not you believe in such things, there's no denying this. She embodies both the pain of loss and the resilience of survival. Her story is messy, emotional, inspiring, and very human. From masks in childhood to masks in adulthood, from the little girl crying at a memorial to the woman now walking global runways, Paris Jackson has become a living testament to struggle, growth, and transformation. Now, let me turn it to you. Do you think Paris has finally stepped out of Michael Jackson's shadow, or is she still fighting to define herself in a world that never stops comparing? Drop your thoughts in the comments because her story is far from over.